Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Easy Learn. And today's topic is algebra, within which we're going to be doing some simultaneous equations, also known as systems of equations. Now, as discussed earlier, simultaneous equations or systems of equations can be solved using three ways. One of them is substitution, the other one is elimination, and the one that we're going to be looking at today is known as graphing. Substitution and elimination, as we already discussed, can be solved. For substitution, you need to isolate any one of the variable, either x or y, and then you substitute that in the other one, in the other equation. For elimination, you need to make sure that you have the same basis and the opposite signs, and then you eliminate any one of the variable and then solve the rest. And for today, we have graphing. For graphing, again, we have two equations. As you can see here, for example, 3x plus 2y equals 16 and 2x minus 3y equals 2. Now, for these two equations, as the name suggests, you need to make graphs. Now, how do I make graphs? You need to put out a table that looks something like this, where you have some x value, some y value, and you have your equations there. Now, you have to decide for any random x values that you feel could be appropriate for the equation. And for those set of x values, you need to figure out the y values. The y values, you can just simply put in your x value inside the equation, substitute, and then figure out the y answer. Now, for example, if I just take, let's say, x value as -2, and then I could take one of the values as 0, the other one as +2, and the other one as 4. Now, it's completely your wish. You can take as many values as you want. I would just stick to the 4 values. Now, for -2, now what you have to do is that you need to put that x value inside your equation and figure out the y value. For example, I'll do one of this one. Let's say 3x plus 2y equals 16, and if I'm working out the first one, that is -2, now -2 is the x value, which means that I need to replace the x that is inside here with the value -2. So 3x means 3 times -2 plus 2y equals 16. Now 3 times -2 means -6 plus 2y equals 16. Now I need to find my y, so I'm going to take everything attached with the y to the other side, and for that I'm going to take the -6 to the other side first. So 2y equals, when -6 goes to the other side, turns into positive, so 16 plus 6, and 2y is equal to 22, which means y equals 2 goes to the other side, so it turns into division because it's multiplication here. When it goes to the other side, it's going to be 22 divided by 2, that is 11. So the first y value here is supposed to be 11. Now I have to do the same thing, repeat the same thing with my second equation. That is 2x minus 3y equals 2. Again, the x has to be replaced with -2. So 2 times -2 minus 3y equals 2. 2 times -2 is a -4. -4 minus 3y equals 2. Now, because my y is negative, it's just always best practice to take the negative variable to the other side. So I'm going to take -3y to the other side, so it turns into positive, and I'm going to take 2 here to the other side so that it can be solved with the -4, as both of them are numbers. So -4, +2 goes to the other side, turns into -2. -3y goes to the other side, turns into +3y. -4, -2 is a -6, equals 3y. 3 goes to the other side, goes in division because it's in multiplication here. So -6y over 3 gives me a -2 equals y. That means that here the value is -2. Now I have to repeat the same thing with all the other numbers that I have here. If I put 3 times 0 here, so 3 times 0 is 0, then I have 2y equals 16. 16 over 2 again will give me 8. Similarly, I repeat the same thing here, so it's going to be 2 times 0 again 0, and -3y equals 2. So if I take the -3 to the other side, so the answer here should be -2 over 3. Similarly, I have to do the same thing with the positive 2 now. So again, 3 times +2 plus 2y equals 16. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2y equals 16. 6 goes to the other side. It's going to be 16 minus 6. And then 2 goes to the other side as well. So 2 is in multiplication with the y. So when it goes to the other side, it comes in division. So 16 minus 6 over 2. 16 minus 6 is 10. Y equals 10 over 2, which means y equals 5. So here I have a 5. Similarly, I'm going to repeat the same thing for 2 times 2. and here I have negative 3y equals 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Again, negative 3y can go to the other side, so it turns positive, and 2 will come here and become negative. 4 minus 2 is 2 equals 3y. 3 goes there. 2 over 3 is equal to my y. So I'm going to put it down here. And again, I repeat the same thing with my 4. So 3 times 4 is a 12. So in the end, I'll have 16 minus 3 fourths 12. So 16 minus 12, that is a 4. 4 over 2, which means that my y here is supposed to be 2. Similarly, I repeat the same thing here. That is 2 times 4 is 8. And then 8 minus 2 would give me a 6. And then 6 over positive 3 should give me a 2. So here I'm going to get a 2. You can just recheck all the values just so that you don't get confused. And here I have 11, 8, 5, and 2 for the values negative 2, 0, 2, 4. And for the second equation, I have negative 2 over 3, positive 2 over 3, and positive 2 for the x values negative 2, 0, 2, and 4. Now, already you can figure out that for the x value 4, the y value for the equation 3x plus 2y equals 16 is 2. And also for 2x minus 3y, it's also 2. So it directly gives you the answer here that when your x is 4, your y is supposed to be 2. That's the point of the whole thing, the whole graphing thing, that you need to figure out that what are the x and y values. Now sometimes you can just easily get it out when you're doing the table, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have to go one step ahead and draw the graph in order to figure out that if they're meeting at a certain point. But for this particular question, we are going to draw the graph. Now here I have my values negative 2, negative 2 by 3, 2 by 3, and 2. And here I have 11, 8, 5, and 2. Now in order to draw the graph, you need some x and y values. Your horizontal is always your x and the vertical is always your y. And whatever values you've taken, you need to list them down on your graph. So let's say this middle part is always 0, its origin. And I can take here my 2. And after the 2 boxes, I have my 4. And now it's your wish. You can take how many ever boxes you want. Whatever is your wish, you can do that, but it has to be equal. Now, after 2 boxes, I wrote a 2, which means here, after 2 boxes, I have a negative 2, and here a negative 4. Similarly, you need to decide for your y values. Now, because my y value, the maximum, it's going on 11, so I'm just going to take one box in place of 2. So this one's my 2, that's 4, that's 6, that's 8, that's 10, and that's 12. Now, on negative 2, for the first equation, on negative 2, my answer is 11. So here's my negative 2, that's my 12, and one box below that is my 11. So that's one of my point. Now for 0, I have an 8. So let's say 2, 4, 6, and 8. Here's my 8. So on 0, I have 8 for this equation. So I'm going to put a point here. Then for 2, I have a 5. So here's a 2, here's a 4, and somewhere in between, this one's my 6, so, and this one's my 4. So for 2 I have a 5, which means that between 4 and 6, this is my point. I can put a point here or across here. And then I have on 4 I have a 2. So here's my 4, here's my 2, and here's my point. Now once you have these specific points, you need to join them up so that you have a straight line. I don't know how straight this is going to be, but something like this. Now I have a straight line, one line graph here, and maybe I can rename this graph. I mean, you can write down the equation here so that you know that this line is for the equation 3x plus 2y equals 16. Now moving on negative 2, I have a negative 2. So this first box should be my negative 2. So on negative 2, I have a negative 2, so I'm going to put a point here. And then on 0, I have a negative 2 by 3. A negative 2 by 3 is also like 0.67 something, which means more than 6.5. So half of that is going to be a 1. And then just another half of that is supposed to be my negative 0.67 and so on. So I'm going to put a point, let's say here. Then I have on 2, I have a positive 0 point and so on. So this is my 2, and positive 0 point and so on should be somewhere here. And then on 4, I have a 2 again. So this is my 4, that's my 2. So here's my point. Now I get to join all these points and draw another line. Okay, so I messed up on this one. And you're supposed to have a clear straight line. Make sure you use a proper ruler for that so that it's easier to make. So I'm just going to join it like this and something like that. Now this is the point where my two lines are meeting, and that is at x equals 4 and y equals 2. Therefore, the x and y values, and again, you can rename the second line as 2x minus 3y equals 2 so that you know that which line is for which equation. And now that I got my point where the two lines are meeting, and they're meeting at 4 comma 2. So these are my x and y values. You can also write them separately. X equals 4 and y equals 2. So the point of graphing is that you have to get a specific point at which the two lines are meeting. Again, in this particular question, we already got the answer here when we were drawing a table, but sometimes you don't get the answer. You have to keep on elongating the lines in order to figure out that one single point where the two graphs are meeting. And then you can just spot from the graph that which one's your x value and which one's your y value. So that's pretty much it. Whenever you see a question, a simultaneous, a systems of equation question, and if you want to find out using graphing, you got to draw a table, take some specific x values, figure out the y values by substituting the x in the equations, figure out the y values, and then graph your two lines and then plot the point where the two lines are meeting, and that is supposed to be your answer for the x and the y. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching Easy Learn. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. And if you have any questions, any confusions, drop them down in the comment section below. Thank you so much.